microphones work best if they're pretty much like 6 inches from your mouth.
Okay.
So if you can lean in to that guy, get him as close to your mouth as you can. And then do a sound check for me.
Sound check?
Yeah, just say a few words, anything.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm glad I'm not working this weekend. Oh, that was going to be my joke during the speeches.
You're gonna need a new joke. Can you talk for just a minute?
Sure. Let's see. What's a pirate's favorite joke? Or favorite place to eat? Arby's. Let's see. Well, last time I saw 10 to 46 inches. So I wish I had that job where I can just pull a quarter out and say, okay, 10 inches, 46. I just wish I had a job that you could be wrong and not get fired. I don't know. Are we doing good? Sure. I don't know what to talk about. Right? But if for the people that know me, when I say I don't know what to talk about, that's pretty funny. I usually talk too much. So, I see some faces I know in here. Don't be nervous if you know me. I'm nervous I know you. So.
About now, ooh, okay. Is that going to hurt anybody's ears? Okay, great. Well, it's great to see you all here. What we'll do is we'll start out with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll make some announcements and introductions. So if you want to all stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. What a good-looking group here. My name is Rob Bradley, and those of you who've had experience in this contest before will recognize me. And I'm just really happy to see the size of the group that we have here today for this contest. This is the largest group of contestants that we've had, and it's great to see that everybody's been so interested in competing. We will have 12 contestants compete in the first group, which is your group, 8th grade and under, and then we'll have 6 more compete in the high school group to follow. We already had one high schooler give her speech on Zoom this afternoon. So there was one virtual speech because she has been quarantined due to contact at the school. So we were able to get her speech. And that's Speaker M, just to let you know, because you all have a number. We're not to know your name, so please do not identify yourself by name. And there are penalty points for too much identification. For instance, names of parents, the name of your school, just being careful that whatever you say doesn't give you too much recognition. Okay, so I'd like to, first of all, one reason we have such good participation is that we have had a teacher in each school in the community help to recruit and coach students. So I'm going to list the teachers that we can thank for the good turnout that we have today. And if you are here, just raise your hand so I can recognize you. Rhonda Hatton, is Rhonda here yet? I think she's coming about 5 o'clock. And Rhonda is the Severance Middle School teacher that's helped us today. Katie Niles, are you here? Katie, great. Windsor Middle School students. And then Michelle Amarati, hi Michelle, with the Charter Academy Elementary students. And Christina, are you here? Christina Sutter. Christina is with Grandview Elementary. And then Susan Ernst, is Susan here? Susan's with Rangeview Elementary. And then the next group will be the high school group with Julia Estrada, Jennifer, Janelle Duvall, and Ann Sutton. And is Ann here, or any of the high school? No. Okay. So let's give a big round of applause to those teachers that have been really helping out. Thank you so much. Now, we are fortunate to be in person here today. Some of you may remember our contest last year. We had that contest, I think, the day before lockdown started. We just made it last March. And as you know, we are entering the 1-year anniversary of this pandemic. The lockdown started last March. So we were fortunate to have this in-person contest. And now that restrictions are loosening up, here we are back again, able to have another in-person contest. So we are fortunate that we bookended that period of time. Now, we're not through the pandemic, as you all know. There are still plenty of people becoming infected, people dying. That's why we're all wearing masks and still trying to social distance as much as we can. So we want to be safe. And that's why you all were registered to come in, so that if anybody does become ill with COVID during the next week, I'd please need to get a hold of me, because we may have to make some contact tracing here. So that's the reason for all that. Now, to get on with the speech, as you know, the title of the speech is Healing the World with Optimism, which I think is a great title for this time of this pandemic and this time. And I think we're going to hear some great things spoken. Reminder to the kids, you must state the title of your speech as your first sentence. Otherwise, there is a penalty. And the other things, there are some other penalties which you've read about in the rules. Speeches are 4 to 5 minutes in length. There are penalty points for being too short or too long. Now, when you come up to speak, you will need to speak close to the microphone. Okay, don't be afraid to get close to the microphone to speak. And we will test you. When you come up, no matter how tall you are, we'll get that microphone set for you before you speak. So don't worry. We'll get you on so that it works for everybody. And we're fortunate to have this microphone and the tech support that we have in our church to do this. We've never been able to actually live feed this contest. So some of you have friends and relatives who will be watching you from home. And so that's why hopefully you all had the email YouTube link to get in touch with this contest. And we have that in the back. We have Emily Fleming, our pastor here at the church, Emily, and Deb Bates. Thank you so much. So after these speeches are finished, I think our last speaker is letter L, and then the judges will go into another room and decide the winners of the group. As you may know, there are awards for first, second, and third place in your group. First place receives $75. Second place will receive $50 cash, and third place $25. Everybody who speaks will receive a $20 gift certificate to Barnes & Noble. So there's a reward for everyone. Now, and also, as you know, there's an opportunity for two of you, or two out of the entire group, to move on to another level of competition, and that would be called a North Regional competition from the top two winners of other Optimist clubs, and it'll be a much smaller group to compete against. You'll have maybe 6 contestants or something in that range, maybe 6 or 8. And from that group, those top 3 out of that group will be invited to the Wyoming-Colorado District Convention and be able to compete for a college scholarship, as most of you know. First place is $2,500, second place $1,500, and third place $1,000. And last year, we did have a third place winner at the district contest. Anna Hirsch was able to get third place and a $1,000 scholarship. So that is the big prize that's out there. Let's see. Oh yes, cancel your cell phones, please. If anybody has their cell phone on, we don't need that. Please, no one moving around while someone is speaking. We'll have the door closed. After we're done, I think after the awards are given, then your group will be excused. You may go home if you want, or you may go to the fellowship hall where you can watch the speakers from the next group. The next group is half the size of your group, so I imagine that there'll be room for you to come back in. Whoever wants to stay for the high school group most likely will be able to stay. If not, certainly in the other room where we have the speakers televised. Okay. So let's see. What have I forgotten to say? Oh, the scoring. Just to review the scoring for you. Poise, 20 points. Content, 35 points. Delivery, 35 points. Overall, 10 points. So there's a top score of 100, maximum score of 100 for each speech. And those scores will be written down. The judges will look at those scores and come up with the group of winners. And the speakers in both groups are judged on the same criteria. Absolutely, no different. Okay. And the judges will be announced at the end of the awards, by the way. They are very, very nice to attend. We have 3 judges. Have I forgotten anything, Andrew, besides introducing you, or anybody out here have a question for yes? I'm sure we can remove this for anybody who any speaker that comes up, Andrew will help get you situated. Okay. How are we doing? We good? Well, I'd like to introduce Andrew Stanger, who is the president of our club, and he will be the MC for the evening.
Well, welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm Andrew Stanger. I'm the club president this year for the local Windsor Optimist Club. A little bit about myself. I've been a member of the club for I don't know, like 15 years, I think. And as we go on to this evening, I'm going to tell you more about what we do in our organization and what we do all around the world, just so you guys know. So I don't want to get too much into that. One thing I will say, if you happen to know who I am, don't indicate it during this competition for the fairness of everybody. And I can explain why later on in this evening. So if we're ready, I think we start with, what's that first letter? Oh, A, as in like the beginning of my name. Contestant A, come on up.
See if that.
Okay, I think it's good. Healing the world with optimism. Optimism is a strategy for making a better future because unless you believe that the future can be better, you are unlikely to step up and take responsibility for making it so. That was a quote from Noam Chomsky. Now, I would like you all to kind of pause and think about what that quote really means to you. Think about what the word optimism means to you. So, to me, when I think of the word optimism, I think of a peaceful version of Earth. Think of a world where there are no wars going on. I think of a world where people are treated equally. I think of a world where we are all happy. Unfortunately, that is not the world we live in today. I genuinely wish we could all be the way we are and not get judged for it. That is not the world we live in. Now picture a circle. In that circle, the majority of it is black, gray, any gloomy color you can think of. Then there's one tiny speck. It's a glowing, bright yellow speck. The circle represents our present Earth. The gloomy colors represent most of the people. And that one yellow speck represents one person. One person who still believes there's a chance to live freely and happily. One person who still is filled with joy and optimism. One person. Out of 7.8 billion, all it takes is one person with optimism. And optimism, as small as it seems, can fix our world today. Optimism is easily overlooked, and it's easy to become negative. In this world today, kids are faced pressures with grades, family, friends, sports, bullying, etc. And it's not just kids. People don't accept one another, we are divided by hate, and we are all hateful to one another. So what do? Do we just quit? No, we don't just quit. We spread optimism until the world is no longer a hateful place. And you can't really just be quiet, because one person can make a difference. Whether it's picking up someone's trash, smiling at someone, or inviting someone who looks lonely to sit with you. And it may not have a big impact on you, but it could have a really big impact on someone else. Mother Teresa once said, "Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love." We have to be optimistic and believe that small things can make a big difference. How can small things make a big difference? They impact one person. Then that inspires that person to go and give optimism to someone else. Then you have two happy and optimistic people. And all it takes is one person. Not a huge effort, right? But it might just change someone else's world. But keep in mind that your mental health is just as important as anyone else's. Your mental health is very important because you always need to fix yourself before fixing others. How many times in a day do you think that you put yourself down? We bully ourselves more than any other people do. We should all practice positive self-talk. With positive self-talk, you can teach yourself not to think those things and not to say that to yourself. An example is, instead of, I messed up again, I'm so stupid, try, I messed up again, but that's okay, because I can always try to do better next time. In conclusion of all of this, we need to be more optimistic towards ourselves, towards others, and towards our planet. I hope you all learned something and enjoyed this speech. Have an optimistic evening. Thank you for your time.
All right. So while the judges are making their judging things, sorry, I got distracted trying to write on my paper. Let me tell you a little bit about Windsor Optimist Club. We're just one club of a worldwide organization called Optimist International that's based out of St. Louis, Missouri. The majority of our clubs are in the United States and Canada, but we have clubs all over the place. We have a bunch in Nepal, Trinidad, of course the Caribbean, and we all strive to bring out the best in our youth, our communities, and ourselves. And we do that through a lot of programs like this, where we encourage, learning to public speak, hopefully better than I do, but safety programs and things to that nature. So, like I said, we're going to go through, but our organization started it's over 100 years old. I went to the 100th International Convention in Louisville, Kentucky in 2019, and our local club was formed 1973, right? Did I just space out? I stopped to think and didn't start again. So our website that has all of that information is windsoroptimistclub.org. And also we are currently meeting via Zoom, but we meet every Thursday, currently on Zoom at 7:30 in the morning. We used to meet at 6:30 in the morning at the Egg and I before it's switched to First Watch. So hopefully when we can go back to in-person meetings, we will be meeting at the Windsor Rec Center, not at 6:30, but probably at 7 in the morning to accommodate people to get to work and kids to get to school. So with that being said, I think we're ready for Contestant B.
The official topic of my speech is on healing the world with optimism. Optimism is a big part of resilience. Resilience is the inner strength to get over tough things. We are almost like our healing process. When our bodies get hurt, our platelets get damaged with scratches and scrapes. Negativity can be just as damaging to our emotional and mental health. Soon a scab forms. We are not fully healed, but healing. Once blood vessels open and spread oxygen, almost like positivity being spread to us, the scab comes off. You can easily make someone's day by putting a little optimism in their life. It's as easy as playing positive, upbeat music, sharing a smile, giving a compliment, and even hugging a family member. Helen Keller once said, "Optimism is faith that leads to achievement." Helen Keller was blind, deaf, and mute at the age of 19 months. Soon, she remarkably learned to speak. Things were very, very tough for Helen Keller in life, but she still had faith and positivity. I noticed that she was not proud of the way that she spoke English, but she still had optimism and faith that she would learn better English. If you're sad, think of a positive way to view the world in your situation. Most of the time, you don't know what others are going through. And even maybe just talking to them or giving them a compliment might raise their spirits. Family and friends are great examples of people who can give you optimism, or you can give them optimism. Adults, like parents, really have to persevere when taking care of children. They have to be optimistic and keep on going when taking care of children. Friends can even enlighten our day, but just talking to us or complimenting us. People other than friends can also help us. Sometimes people anonymously do things, like somebody could simply cover a crack or a hole in the ground, and it could benefit us in the future. Just a few days ago, I passed a beautiful mural. My day was immediately made after seeing such a unique, beautiful, and colorful piece of art. And this was done totally anonymous. It was a very nice mural of somebody helping another person up. The fact that it was just beautiful art made my day, but also the fact that it was about someone being kind out of nowhere. That's pure optimism. I quarantined twice with 5 siblings, and my siblings can be very aggravating. Especially during online learning, my siblings could interrupt my classes, and I would have a lot of work to do because they would also distract me, and I would get distracted. It's been very hard with COVID, especially because I'm super social. And the last year, our world has had to isolate because of a pandemic, which has been pretty damaging to our emotional and mental health. In conclusion, with perseverance, positively, and intentionally connecting with others, we can begin to heal the world.
All right. When last break, I failed to mention one aspect of Optimist International that we're trying to bring to our area. We also have Junior Optimist International, and that is kids under 18, and where there's clubs maybe at their school or in the community. I've been working with them for quite a few years, and I actually go to their international convention, and to see kids from all around the world have these strong friendships. They may only see each other once a year, but it's like they pick up from where they left off the previous year. And so it's really inspiring. It's something that I've been trying to bring to schools or our area. And so towards the end, I will, if any of the youth here are interested in that at their school, I will tell you how to get a hold of me, and I can contact your school and work that out. Now we'll start going into some of our projects and events. I'm going to tag this one in at the end right now, just because I don't think I need to explain it a lot. It's the Oratorical. We're doing it. So I think you guys understand since you took the time to volunteer, and it's kind of neat in the last few years that we've been able to partner with St. Louis University, and there's a worldwide competition where a winner can get up to $22,000, $500 college scholarship. So if we're ready, looking at my 3 judges to see if they're ready to move on, I will call up Contestant C.
Yeah, I think this is good. Yeah. All right, thank you. Healing the world with optimism. Is this possible? This past year, the world has been in a tough place. With a global pandemic and Australian fires, the world needs healing. To completely perfect the world, you have to control everyone. But you cannot control anyone but yourself. Unless you're Thanos, you know, the big purple guy with the chin beard and the golden glove with the different colored rhinestones? You know, power, space, reality, soul, time, and mind? Yeah, he can change everyone. But I'm not Thanos. I'm just one kid. I can't solve all the world's problems. I'm just happy to have ketchup with my dino nuggets. So to heal the world with optimism, I must start with small steps. Step number 1 is how you choose to get involved in situations. A person can affect other people with just their energy. Ever enter a room where there's so much tension, you can feel it and start to absorb it like a sponge? And sponges do tend to absorb some pretty gross things. Now you have become one gross sponge. I once walked into my lunch area where my friends were arguing about politics. I admit I chose to get involved in this argument and absorbed all that negative energy. I became a gross sponge. It did not feel good. On the other hand, if you enter a room with positive energy, you absorb those good vibes, like a dumpling and soy sauce. It works. By the way, that's what I'm having for dinner tonight. Anyway, positive energy makes you feel so good inside. One time, during a football game, I walked into the TV room with a bowl of chips. At that moment, our team just scored a touchdown. The room filled with cheer and joy. Excitement ran through my body. Soaking up all that positive energy made me a pretty delicious dumpling. Moving on to step number 2, or as I like to call it, the big kid steps. The big kid steps is knowing how you can affect others with your actions. Your actions can affect someone else's day and either turn it around or upside down. Last year, when I was a wee little elementary student, somebody sneezed and another person got really mad at them. Let's refer to them as Student A and Student B. Student A sneezed and Student B got all worked up and stormed off in a ranting rage. In the aftermath, I helped cheer up Student A. I said, "It's okay, everybody does that sometimes, though he did a little excessively. His opinion should not decide your fate." As Student B turned Student A's day upside down for the worst, I did my best to turn it around for the better. Step number 3 is learning to jump. You're finally getting your feet off the ground, and that can start with your community. See, I haven't gotten to this level. I'm not brave enough to do this yet, but I've seen people take action and accomplish great things, and it's amazing. I'm referring to the snowball kid. Even though he was just a kid, he changed the law in our neighboring town of Severance. For some reason, the old lawmakers thought snowballs were killing machines, and children were outlaws in the Wild West. So the snowball kid decided to do something about it, and he presented it to the town board. Once he persuaded them with his speech, the town board decided to make snowballs legal. It was no longer the Wild West. The final step is called graceful leaps. You're in the big leagues now, like Miss Amanda Gorman, the best poet laureate I have ever heard. One of my favorite teachers, my social studies teacher, showed her speaking during President Biden's inauguration. Her poem was called "The Hill We Climb." A part from her poem states, "We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always just is." To me, this quote means to have actual peace, you first have to speak up for it, work for it, and earn it. And she did so in this poem. Not only did she change the country, but her message echoed through the mountains of the world. Is it possible to heal the world with optimism? I mean, there will always be people who aren't quite ready to cheer up, but that's okay. Who knows what they're going through? However, it's ultimately your choice if you want to heal the world with optimism, one step at a time. Thank you.
All right. Another thing that the Windsor Optimist Club that we like to be involved in is awarding and giving recognition to outstanding students within the Weld RE4 school district. We do that through a couple different programs. We have the 8th grade Student of the Month, where we award a 8th grader from Windsor Middle, Severance Middle, and the Charter Middle that have been nominated by their teachers and are chosen. And part of that recognition, they get to, when we're in person, come to a meeting and we recognize them. Their principal will read the good things, nice things that the teachers have said about them, and we give them their own copy of the creed. We give them a plaque, and I know at least at Windsor Middle, they get the opportunity, I think at Severance too, they get the opportunity to give the morning announcements. So whether that is an award for some kids, I don't know. I think sometimes that might be like a punishment, but that's just what they do. So on that note, let's move on to Contestant D.
That's good. Yep.
Healing the world with optimism. What does it mean? Is it even possible for such a thing to occur? Well, I'd like you to stop and think for a second. Has there ever been a time in your life where you felt like you were at rock bottom, that your heart was torn to bits, that there was nothing you could do to feel better? A time when your mind was clouded with a fog of pessimism. Who or what helped to clear that fog? Was it finding something to love? A kind word from someone? Or maybe even finding strength in yourself that you did not know you had? Whatever it was, that joy and resilience helped you heal. Keeping hope and not giving up helped you heal. Joyfulness and definitely hope are, in a sense, optimism. If it can heal one human being, then why not a world full of them? Sure, the world is full of problems that need to be solved, but what's stopping them from being solved? Imagination and ideas are plentiful. So, is it the lack of funding, the crushing feeling of self-doubt, and the fear of failure? In short, it is pessimism. Pessimism is the chain that shackles the world to a pool of agony. It's a thick chain, but it can be broken over and over again with optimism, an indestructible mallet that can be used to break through boundaries and heal the world. And though the world might not be perfect, sometimes it's the imperfections that make life so meaningful. We just need to be valiant enough to stand up and move forward, to take a hit and accept failure. We can help each other clear the fog of pessimism, help one another heal, and by helping each other, by remaining hopeful and optimistic, the world can be healed with optimism. Sure, it's not something that can be done overnight. It will take time, but that's okay. We as a human race are resilient. We can fall over and over again, but we will not stay down. Look around you. Everyone in this room has lived through such a horrific year, but here we are, getting stronger and healing the world, not only in a metaphorical, but literal sense. We've had to rely on and trust each other more than ever, and all this uncertainty has had a negative effect on mental health. But look at how far we've come. In a year, we've developed a vaccine to an unfamiliar pathogen. How amazing is that? My point is, things that seem impossible now might not be so impossible in a year or more. The world is researching and developing every day, finding new, innovative ways to change the world, to heal the world. By believing in ourselves and each other, by remaining hopeful and optimistic, the world can be healed with optimism. We can speed up this healing process by taking risks and seeking out optimism. Once again, by believing in ourselves and each other, by being bold to stand up and take a risk, to take a hit and accept failure, and to not be afraid of it, but rather to embrace it with open arms. Being able to do that is a healthy, optimistic habit. Being able to say, I failed, but did I learn from it? What did I learn from it? Will help you grow and become a better and stronger person. You can use failure to your advantage to hone your gift that can spark joy in others and shine light in them in their moment of darkness. Failure, growth, inspiration, and healing. It's a cycle of positivity, one that will continue till the end of time. Healing the world with optimism. It's a concept that seems to be out of reach, and while it might be unreachable with just one person aiming for it, by banding together and lending a hand, unreachable concepts will be within the grasp of humanity. It's not unrealistic or wishful thinking to want to heal the world with optimism. In fact, like many things in life, it's quite possible. You just need to be willing to put in the effort. And in the grand scheme of things, it's worth it to put in the work. I can guarantee you that if we are willing to put in the effort and not let our resolve falter, all of society will reach a brighter future. No, it will not be perfect, because nothing is perfect, but it will be better. Just believe and be kind. We'll get there. Thank you.
All right, let's continue to talk about awards at schools. So another thing that we like to do is we have 2 scholarships that we award at the end of the school year at Windsor High School. One is the Senior Outstanding Senior Scholarship. It's a $1,000 scholarship. We also have the Marvin J. Harris Scholarship. That's $1,000. And like I said, those are awarded to graduating high school seniors from Windsor High School. We also have an Outstanding Senior Athlete Award that we award. And then if any of you have ever been over to Windsor High School, a few years ago, we had the opportunity to sponsor the Academic Hall of Fame. And if you ever, like I said, have an opportunity to go into Windsor High School, it is located in the New Innovation Center as you leave the Event Center or Activities Building, past the pool and auditorium. As you go into the cafeteria, it's right on the right side, and it recognizes achievements like Betcher Scholars, students that may have gone to service academies, things like that. So that was an honor for us to do, and the kids get to see that every day when they're walking to and from the student lot in the cafeteria and see our logo and kind of just recognize the great things that they do. So, on that note, I think we are ready for Contestant E.
Optimism can heal the world and make it a better place. Individuals and groups of people change the world in so many ways through optimism. They constantly change it through the smallest actions. This changes for the better and can come in many different shapes and sizes. Individuals that are optimistic tend to be happier, healthier, and more successful. If you approach every day thinking things are going to be okay and good things are to come, and view your past failures as lessons for the future, nothing is going to stand in your way for success. An optimistic approach in life can lead to great things. Oscar Wilde, an Irish poet, once said, "When it rains, look for rainbows, and when it's dark, look for stars." If you approach every day looking for the best in your life, it starts you on a path to greatness and success. Optimism will be the light that shines on your path. It will give you the opportunity to help others and help yourself. For example, you could start a homeless shelter that will help hundreds of homeless during the cold winters. But you're probably going to need some help with that. When groups of optimistic people come together, the effects of optimism are amplified beyond our imagination. A great example of this are the Optimist Clubs around the globe. Optimistic people gathering in their community and through structured programming and volunteering to make the world a better place. They believe that there is a better future for us and are working to get there. They empower the people around them to be the best people they can possibly be. They want a better world, so they are working for it. But optimism heals the world in other ways than just helping people. Optimism also drives ingenuity and innovation. When people come together and create ideas, those ideas have the potential to do great things, the potential to heal the world. Things that have never been done before. These people with the idea make life better. Some of these people are engineers, doctors, scientists, and they naturally believe that there are solutions to our problems, and they band together to solve major problems. Every day, doctors, engineers, and scientists are working for better medications, procedures, and medical equipment, and they believe that there are ways to cure diseases such as cancer. Just recently, a global pandemic has ravaged across the world, leaving the people in this world scarred and devastated. But at no point did the people making the vaccine give up. When they were met with a challenge, they saw the light at the end of the tunnel and produced a vaccine. Now millions are getting vaccinated, saving lives and healing the world. These people are reestablishing an economy, recreating millions of jobs for the people that became unemployed during this pandemic. At the same time, NASA is working on getting people to Mars. And with that will come complications. They will have to create new tech that can one day be used to cure cancer. And that same tech can also be used to get people to Mars, to create the very first space colony and expand our horizons by millions of miles. But you don't only have obstacles, struggles, and complications when you're building a rocket. Life will always put people in tough situations, whether they were born hundreds of years ago or will be born 1,000 years from now. In 1879, Thomas Edison finally reinvented the light bulb. It took him 10,000 tries, but he did not give up. He did not say, "This can't be done," or "It's impossible, there's no solution." He persevered, and with optimism came success. He successfully made a better light bulb and rejuvenated his optimism. Now, every day, wherever you are, in here, at work, in school, you see a light bulb. It shines upon you, leading your way. If you can let optimism shine upon you like that light, it will lead to great things. In the end, life will always put people in tough situations, but you can choose to be optimistic and look for your stars and rainbows, or you can choose to be pessimistic and bring the world down lower. Just remember, in the end, if you choose optimism, you can start to bring the world up and heal it with optimism. Thank you.
All right, one of our upcoming events, modified events this year, is every year we do an annual Easter egg hunt a few blocks from here at Main Park. And that constitutes weeks and weeks of stuffing candy into plastic eggs. The morning of, we put the eggs out. So many eggs that usually we can't even hide them. They just place them on the grass. Kids line up by age group, and then the buzzer goes off, and 30 seconds later we're done. For the last 2 years, because of COVID, we have not been able to handle that, and we were hoping to have it this year, but the restrictions are still where it would be too difficult to put on. So this year, we've modified it, and we're doing a coloring contest. So if you go to our website, go under Club Projects, and go down to Easter Egg Hunt, it'll have all the information. There you can pick a picture of a bunny. You can download. There's some information on that. Of course, you can use your own. You color it, and then you can turn it in at the Clearview Library over on 3rd Street. And then we'll judge it, and winners will receive, for some of you, a life-size bunny. Trust me, it's not life-size for me, because that your parents might have to put an extra wing on your house. But they're like 3 or 4 feet tall, if I remember. They're pretty big bunnies. So they were for last year's event, and they've been in storage, and we want kids to enjoy them and not have them sit in a storage unit. So on that note, we're going to move on to contestant F. What's that? Yeah. How's that?
That's good. Thank you. How can we heal the world through optimism? I like to think of optimism like a tree. I like to believe that each of us has a tree that represents our happiness, our outlook on the day, and our total performance. We all know someone who's super gloomy all the time, someone who knows how to bring your day down and hurt your outlook on the day. Though we may not think it, this person affects our tree. They give it bad soil and let the weeds grow and suffocate its roots. How can we heal the world with all that we have to offer when our tree is dying? Trees can die when people are choosing to be bitter or not looking for the good. We may also know someone who smiles and makes the sun shine a little bit brighter on our tree of happiness. They give our tree miracle grow and water it and take care of the weeds. They are the reason people can find positives and make their mark on our world. They are the people who help us to heal the broken branches of this world. Think of the example of an aspen tree. Aspen trees let their roots grow outward instead of downward. They intertwine underneath the soil with other aspens, and they share nutrients provided by the soil. They are a good example of how we need to work together to make each other strong. They show us that we all make it or none of us do. The definition of optimism is hopefulness and confidence about the future or the successful outcome of something. If optimism is to be hopeful and confident in our future, then optimism is like the perfect amount of sunshine for our tree. We can't bring another's tree to full health when our tree is dying under the criticism of others. I am fortunate to have 3 amazing brothers, 2 older and 1 younger. As you can imagine, I get lots of questions from my younger brother about math problems. Though math is one of my strengths and it would be easier for me to do it myself and then give him the answer, most of the time I sit down next to him and help him through it. How are his branches supposed to get stronger if I'm doing all the work for him? I want him to learn to be optimistic and look forward with a growth mindset rather than be pessimistic and have a fixed mindset. I want my brother to succeed and make choices that will help him strengthen his roots and branches on his own. Once his tree is at a good place, not a perfect place because no one's perfect and complete perfection is not the goal, but once his tree is at a good place, then he can help others to grow their trees as well. If we see that another's tree is hurting or dying because people aren't happy or content, then we can be the ones to water their tree, the ones to bring them happiness. Once we start with our neighborhoods, move on to our towns, our cities, our states, our countries, we have reached our potential as the little trees that we are and have all collectively become a massive grove of all sorts of different trees, all growing at our own pace with the help of those around us. I try to be someone who helps the tree of another. If we all try to be realistic, look at the logic, yet optimistic, and look ahead for a brighter future, we can have a growth mindset of welcoming positive change. Some of the happiest people that I know, the people who help my tree, are the ones who work the hardest and are willing to help those around them. They have become stronger in their struggles because of help from people who are uplifting their trees. Then they move on and help others. We can strive to be an advocate for the good in the world and be there for each other. There are some that struggle to pull themselves up and feel like they're being kicked while they're down. These people are the ones that need us the most. These people struggle to keep their trees growing. We can choose to be the example, the one who cares, the one who reaches out, the one who changes a life, the one who saves a tree. With so much negativity going around in the world today, we can choose to be positive. We can be optimistic. Let's start by showing more gratitude, being more willing to help and uplift those around us, being the person that we would want to have help us on our journey as we progress. Has there ever been someone who brings the light into your darkest day? Let us try to be that person for someone else. We can spread the message of a brighter, happier future by starting with a change in ourselves. As Michael Jackson said, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. Then he goes on to say, if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change. We can make the world a better place. This can be accomplished when we choose to be the person who waters another's tree, the person who brings the sunlight into someone else's life, and the person who helps them to flourish and grow. Thank you.
All right. Our next event that I want to talk about is usually in June, in the summer, pretty soon after school gets out, before everybody goes on their family vacations. But we partner with the Windsor Police Department, and we used to call it the Bicycle Rodeo. It was just kind of like a little cone course, and with the help of the police department and the town, we've expanded it, and we call it Family Bike Night, where we as a club purchase helmets. The police department sets up a cone course. It's been over at Boardwalk Park on the boat ramp parking lot. And police department has provided like burgers and hot dogs in the past. I don't want to commit them in the future, but I know Chief Klimek has done that in the past. So it's a really fun night to teach kids safety on their bikes and provide them with a helmet if they don't have one. It has nothing to do with need. I've seen kids come through there that they've had helmets from us for 3 to 5 years, and even though we try to tell them when you take your helmet off, gently set it aside, don't throw it in this corner of the garage because it forms cracks and then it doesn't work. So if they come in with a damaged helmet or if it's too small, we give them a new helmet, as long as we have enough. So that's a real joy for us. That's goes along with a safety program within Optimist International, and each club can choose their own way to reach out to the community for that. With that being said, Contestant G.
How can you heal the world with optimism? Can you really heal the world by being optimistic? Actually, yes. You can do this by being optimistic and teaching other people how to be optimistic. First, let's define optimism. Optimism does not mean being happy all the time. In fact, to be an optimist, you need to be sad and mad, and you need to have setbacks. But optimism is essentially looking at the bright side of things. You see the negative, but you always try to find the positive. According to Oxford Dictionary, optimism is hopefulness and confidence about the future or the successful outcome of something. Now let's give a situation to explain how you can heal the world. Imagine, you're in a room with 15 people and everyone is down. But you're in this room being happy, looking at the bright side of things, and being optimistic. Is what you're doing really matter to the situation? Yes, it does. Just think, has there ever been someone who is really happy while you're down and raises you up? But that's just one person, and this is about the world. Let's think of optimism like a virus. If one person has this optimism virus, how can they spread it to other people? They can do this in multiple ways, from talking to the person and trying to make them happy to just being happy. Optimism can come in bursts of optimism, or you can be an optimist where you love being optimistic and teaching other people how to be optimistic. But why is being optimistic good for you? According to Edutopia, people who explain their experiences in pessimistic ways have a higher risk for depression, lower academic and professional achievement, and lower physical health than those who hold optimistic views. I would consider my dad as an optimist. He is a high school soccer coach, and he likes to ask his boys, if you don't think you can win the game, why show up at all? This is an example of optimism, because optimism means believing that you have the ability to change your situation and that you have the ability to change a negative into a positive. My dad also says this: you can control two things, your attitude and your effort. This means that you have the ability to change the things that you can control and change the negative through optimism. A good way to spread optimism and become more optimistic is to have a growth mindset. This means to think of success or frame your thinking as, I don't know this yet. This does not mean to not look at the negative, like, say, a bad grade, but to, with that bad grade, think, I don't know this yet. Also, my favorite band, AJR, has a song called 100 Bad Days. And in their song, they sing, 100 bad days make 100 good stories, 100 good stories make me interesting at parties. This means that just because today may be a bad day, there'll be a time where you look back at it and laugh on it, so you don't be too down about it now. Now back to the room with 15 people. How can you make this situation a better situation? Well, you can start by being optimistic. This will then spread across the room like a virus. Now you may be thinking that some people just aren't optimistic. Well, if you start being optimistic and you help them see the bright side of things and you teach them to remain positive, then you might be able to change their perspective. Then these people that you taught to be optimistic teach other people how to be optimistic, and so on, like the domino effect. But you won't always be able to be optimistic because people have bad days. Remember, you can control your attitude and your effort to make your day better. If you teach other people how to be optimistic, you encourage a positive attitude, and you encourage them to do their best, then when you fall into a pessimistic state, those optimistic people will be there to rise up. Now, how does this heal the world? Well, if we can get everyone, or just a majority of people in the world, to be optimistic, then we'll see things that we may not have seen if we were to have just given up on the situation. For example, the encouragement, support that was shown to doctors and scientists kept these people optimistic and led us to finding a vaccination. So back to the original situation one last time. In this room of 15 people, you were optimistic, you taught people how to be optimistic, and you helped heal the world. I strongly encourage you to be optimistic every day and heal the world with optimism. Thank you.
All right. Another one of our events that we have every year was started many, many years ago, back in the 80s. And it's another project that we partner with the Windsor Police Department. Every Halloween, we do what's called the Alternative Safe Halloween event at the rec center here in Windsor. And what that is the police department provides the candy, we provide games, and it's a safe place for the kids to go trick or treat.
In the future, you might ask me, how do you know that it'll be bad in the future? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am from the future. I time traveled back to this moment in time. I ran out of juice, so I guess I'll be stuck here for a few more hours. What I think optimism is just being a happy person in general and thinking the outlook to everything will be amazing, because I think it will. So basically, being optimistic means that you can tell the future, which is freaking awesome. Recent studies show that optimism helps with depression. And when you're pessimistic, the opposite of optimistic, it makes you want to give up more easily. From the National Library of Medicine. Optimism is also related to a better quality of life, and you're more likely to be successful in trials if you're optimistic rather than pessimistic. Catherine Pulsifer once said, to find optimism, look for the good things in life. I think that quote means it's just leading back to my definition of optimism. Being optimistic is just seeing the cup half full, not half empty. In my opinion, optimism is one of the best traits to have in a person. There's a song I listen to called It's the End of the World as We Know It by R.E.M. Obviously, the title doesn't sound very optimistic, but the main chorus of the song is, it's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. That means it's the end of the world, but it doesn't let that bring him down. He stays as happy as can be. There's also another song called Jump by Van Halen. The first words of the song is, I get up and nothing gets me down. The first part means when he's in a good mood, nothing can bring him down or make him sad. Being an optimistic person is sort of like the people in the songs, being in a good mood, enjoying life, having fun, and also another big thing about optimism is helping other people. Like little things like opening doors or giving someone a smile, big things like mowing someone's lawn or helping them move or teaching someone about optimism for that matter. It's really good to be a friend that's happy and positive, not negative. Every day there's a battle between positivity and negativity. It's your choice of which one you want to be. If you don't choose, just remember, not choosing is a choice. That's why I time traveled here, to tell you guys that optimism is an awesome trait to have in a person. Everyone being optimistic makes everyone around you happy, especially yourself. So we need to stop that battle in between positivity and negativity and make positivity win now and forever.
Okay, one of our last events of the year is always a special one for us. Santa's Toy Shop. You may have seen in the past Christmas trees with gold stars around different businesses in town. We put those out to help kids have a Christmas and have some toys. And so we gather those up, and then we have a distribution, and families that are in need of that, we work with them to get those out. And so that's a really big event. As you can imagine, this last year was one of our bigger times of need, just with the economy and people's jobs. And thankfully we were able to help all those kids that were submitted for that. So with that, I think we're ready for our next contestant, contestant I.
Healing the world with optimism. The world needs a little more positivity. Now, before I launch into a full essay about how I can heal the world, I should probably explain what optimism is. Optimism is the feeling that you feel when you're hopeful or confident about the future or the successful outcome of something. If you're optimistic, then you're a very positive, good vibes kind of person. Now, I want you to close your eyes and imagine this. Picture a place that's gloomy, where no one or nothing is getting along. There are wars everywhere, no positive feelings, and everyone is miserable. Keep your eyes closed, but imagine a place in your life that's the opposite. This place should be cheery, happy, and a place that you'd like to be in. You might be on the beach listening to your favorite music, or you might be in a busy restaurant eating dinner with your family. If you'd rather spend the rest of your life in the second option, raise your hand. Even if you didn't count, I'm pretty sure that you would know that almost everyone in the room would rather spend their life in the second place. Why? Because it's more positive. The more positive it is, the more you'd like to stay there. You're probably asking yourself, what does this have to do with healing the world with optimism? Well, if optimism wasn't a thing, then the world would most likely look like the first image you pictured. If there were no optimists in the world, then everyone would focus on the negatives and ignore all of the positives. I'm sure we all know from experience that life has many positives. It'd kind of be like the world needs to go to the doctor, and the doctor was an optimist. He'd probably recommend that the world needs more cheer. The quote, "We can complain because rose bushes have thorns," or "We can rejoice because thorn bushes have roses" by Abraham Lincoln tells us that even though the world has some ups and downs, we can still find happiness because, as said in the quote, something that might not seem as something bright may show up later as something to rejoice or be happy about. How many times has something gone wrong and you find that you're saying to yourself, think happy thoughts, think happy thoughts? Well, that's optimism. If you're telling yourself you need to think happy thoughts, you're telling yourself you need to be optimistic. Have you ever heard the quote, "Rumor grows as it goes" by Virgil? Rumors have a very negative effect on people, but the thing that blows your mind is that they spread faster than some of the worst diseases. Same thing goes for optimism. If you show the emotions, kindness, happiness, all that stuff, then the people who see you will do the same thing for others. If you can help at least one person with optimism, then you're making the world a little bit better. Now I'd like you to take a test. No, it's not the kind of test you'd get a grade on, and it's not the kind of test that goes in the grade book. It's the kind of test that tells you who you are. It's kind of like you take the Harry Potter test to figure out which house you're in, or you take the Disney princess test to figure out which princess is your best friend, that kind of thing. Here's the quiz. Number 1, when life gives you lemons, what do? A, give the lemons back to life because you're allergic to them. B, make lemonade. C, squirt the juice in other people's eyes, or D, start a fruit factory. The correct answer is B, make lemonade. One of my brother's favorite TV shows, Clifford the Big Red Dog, starts with Emily Elizabeth always saying, "When life gives you lemons, make lemonade." If you take something sour, like lemons, and you make them into something sweet, like lemonade, you're showing optimism. Number 2, you get a call from your boyfriend or girlfriend. What do you expect? A, they want to break up with you. B, they got let go of their job. C, they have a surprise for you. Or D, they forgot their keys to the apartment and they need you to open the door for them. The optimistic answer is option C, they have a surprise for you. If you think that something bad happens, then you're only focusing on all of the negative things that could happen to you or your friend. Life without optimism would be like donuts without sprinkles or like a pool without water. Optimism is the best kind of bandage for the world. If we didn't have optimism, then we'd all be very far away from each other. If you want to become optimistic, then you have to remember it's as easy as 3, 2, 1. All you need is 3 or more positive thoughts to stay focused on, 2 hands for hugging, and 1 world that can be changed drastically by optimism. Thank you.
Okay, one of our awards programs that we participate along with OI is called Respect for Law. And the way our club has chosen to do that in the community is that we recognize an Officer of the Year with the Windsor Police Department every year. We give them a plaque. They get put on the perpetual plaque that's held over at the police department that says all the officers in the past, in the year they received it. If we're in person, we usually buy breakfast for that officer and their family. And then usually they get recognized also along with some other departmental awards from the police department in front of the town board at a town board meeting. So, with that being said, we're on J, right? Okay. I have it written down and it's like, I don't know if I... So Contestant J, come on down.
How can we heal the world through optimism? That's a really good question, and when I think about it, I think about 2020. It was a really rough year between not seeing your friends and having to wear a mask literally everywhere. But 2020 is also a really good example of optimism. It was the perfect opportunity for optimists to say, you can still FaceTime your friends or just think forward. I'm sure we'll be rid of masks soon. They helped me when I wanted to throw down my pencil and just give up what I was doing. And I think we can heal the world through optimism by helping and motivating others, just like these people during 2020. I've always been more of a glass half full type of person. If I get a bad grade on something, though I am a bit of a perfectionist, perfectionist, I just study a little bit harder. But it was really hard for me to be optimistic in 2020, mostly because of one major thing. I lost one of the most important people in my life, my dad. My dad was a really amazing person. He was always the one to tell us to be happy and positive. I don't think I ever saw him without a smile on his face, which is why it was really shocking when he passed away. No more first day of school calls from him to ask me how I was doing, no more big toothy smiles and big hugs, at least not from the person I wanted them from the most. But then there's my family. First, my mom, who always seems to have something to say that makes me feel a lot better. She's been there for literally my whole life, always ready to tell me everything I can look forward to. She's always there for me when I need a reminder that I'm loved and needed. Then my stepdad. He's been there for me since before I turned 1. I honestly can't remember a time when he wasn't there for me to tell me that he was always there for me, even when it's not the most important thing. My stepmom is there too. She's constantly checking up on me and asking how I'm doing. She's also been a big part of my life. She's one of those people who will always help someone, even if she's having a really rough day. And then, of course, my siblings. My sister is the most kind, patient, loving person you'll ever meet. Sure, she can say no when she needs to, but she always makes me feel a lot better after a day of being stressed and tired. My brothers are also there, especially one who is always there to give me a hug and remind me of how important I am in his life. All of these people are here to show me that I'm not alone in what I feel. They're here to show me that I've been through a lot, but so many people are there to love and support me. My family are and always have been some of my best friends. I'll say this in complete truth. I don't think anyone I know can measure up to my family's love. They've taught me to always lend a helping hand, and I don't think anyone can really turn that down. Just imagine you were having a really bad day and someone came up to you and asked how they could help. That's always bound to make someone feel better. The worst of the worst could happen, but when someone's there for you, it just makes you feel better, like people care about what you're going through and that they understand. Because of my family, I know that optimism can change your life so much. They've made me into the person I am today. Without them, I'd have a whole different perspective on optimism, but now I know that optimism isn't just looking on the bright side. It's being there for someone, really being there when they need you. It's cheering them on, it's supporting and loving them no matter what. Because of them, whenever I see someone who needs a little love and support, I can be there to do exactly that. That's the golden rule, right? To treat others the way you want to be treated. And like Pablo Picasso once said, never underestimate the difference you can make in the lives of others. Step forward, reach out, and help. Reach out to someone who might need a lift. Optimism is something that not everyone has, but that everyone has the potential to have. It's something that can change a life. Just by motivating and lifting others up, you can help someone out when they need someone to comfort them. In my opinion, that's such an amazing feeling, knowing that you can change a whole life. And I know that no matter how many people tell you you can't do it, it's too hard, there's also going to be someone who can tell you you can do it, you've got this. It's because of these people that I have the motivation to go on, even when I feel like dropping my pencil and walking away. Because of these people, I'll pick up my pencil and write in optimism in my story. Starting with a few words, together we can heal the world through optimism. Thank you.
Okay. The last event or project that I want to talk about for our organization is that we sponsor a 1 mile section of Highway 257 running from half a mile south of County Road 72 to half a mile north of County Road 72. And that's just a way that we can help keep our community clean. If you've driven through this area, for me, I grew up in Aurora, and I don't want to knock my childhood home, but the community isn't as clean and nice as it is around here. And that's because we have youth that, on the whole, care for our community. We have parents, grandparents that want to take care of it, and we want to give back to that community by helping keep a small segment of the road clean. Now, I will say, sometimes it's kind of funny because there's a canal that runs by it, our section. So every once in a while, we do find the occasional, snake. Not the dangerous kinds, but a couple of our members, I didn't realize they could jump that high when they find them. But yeah, luckily I haven't been one because I don't know if I'll jump or not. But I think we're ready for contestant K.
Healing the world with optimism. Have you ever thought how you could heal the world with optimism? There are many ways, but mainly 3 factors. Physically, like picking up trash and recycling. Emotionally, like being kind to others and consoling people in times of need. And mentally, like looking at a good future and setting a good example to others around you. These factors will help make the world a cleaner place, both physically and mentally. This will allow people to breathe fresher air and experience a lifetime of happiness in a cleaner and less polluted environment. Also, it leaves behind the thoughts of death, anxiety, depression, and other problems that are very common in our world. Leaving these thoughts behind will make people more cheerful and content. How many of you know TikTok? TikTok is the biggest social media platform in the world. In 2018, it had over 689 million users monthly and over 82 million downloads just in 2020 alone. That's a lot of people. Naturally, there are many different people and types of content on TikTok. Some of these people help the planet by picking up trash, being good Samaritans, and helping animals. There are others that are destroying the planet. They're throwing trash in nature, being bad Samaritans, and stealing. And lastly, there are others who are just inside their homes, on their electronics, and doing nothing to help. TikTok and other large platforms truly show the optimistic and pessimistic sides of the world. I personally don't have TikTok, but I still see the TikTok content everywhere. If I still see the content without having the app, it's obvious how influential social media is and important it is to post appropriately. If you have any social media, then you should show other users how to be optimistic and how to help the world. Just like Roy T. Bennett said, instead of worrying about what you cannot control, shift your energy to what you can create. Our main priority in life should be to set a good example and to create a happier and healthier world. Setting a good example on and offline could mean being kind to others, like saying pleasant words, and greeting others in multiple places, on the street, at home, in the store, at school, and more. Saying something nice or simply saying hello could optimistically influence their day and possibly lives. All it takes is one person to make a difference in the life of somebody else. This was said by Brad Cohen, who has Tourette's syndrome, and relates to how important it is to create a safe environment for all people. It could also mean accepting people for who they are, seeing different perspectives, and so much more. We need to open up our hearts and minds if we're to heal this world. Everyone has different opinions, and these are causing the largest conflicts in our world. Different religions, beliefs, ideas, thoughts, and more are tearing apart our world and breaking it. I know it sounds hard, but if we put aside our differences and create a safe and understanding environment, we could eventually heal the world with our optimism. This is easier said than done, but we need to focus on creating, not controlling what we can't control. Creation is optimism in process.
We are optimistic that what we are creating will have a positive outcome and will influence other positive creativity. By doing this, we will create optimism and possibly even heal the world while we're at it. Thank you.
All right, now as you've been listening to all these different projects that I mentioned, you might be wondering, how do we accomplish that? A lot of this takes money. This is not a pitch. I'm not going to pass around an offering plate to get your money. But every summer, one of our fundraisers that we do in the year, we call it the annual duck race, where we get people to adopt ducks, rubber ducks. I brought this up before, and I had a high schooler ask me, how do you keep the ducks from flying away? Well, we have tubs and tubs of rubber ducks with numbers written on the bottom side. And for $10, someone can adopt a duck. We take those ducks, and you guys know where the number 2 ditch is? Right behind the rec center. I've been in this community for like 20 years. I'm still looking for the number 1 ditch, but I haven't found it. But we dump them into the number 2 ditch behind the Windsor Garden on 17th Street. They float down their way to 11th Street, where we hopefully collect all of them. We miss some, but usually the winners are out ahead, and the pack comes in, and sometimes we lose them. That's sometimes my fault. I always get the job of being a wrangler. Pick them up. I don't know, something with the arms. But first place wins $500. Second place wins $300, and third place wins $100. So, and we also have some bigger ducks that go down, and those are our sponsors, our corporate sponsors. Sometimes they dress up their ducks and all that, but it's a fun time. You're always welcome to come out and see, but we were able to do it this last year. We're going to try to get out and sell more, so you'll see us at hopefully King Soopers or Safeway or places like that. So I think I've rambled enough. I think we have one more person for this group. So if we're ready, Contestant L, please come on up.
What a question. What would the world be like if we were more optimistic? Would it be better or would it be worse? The world, in my opinion, would be a better place. It'd be better because we'd be more positive and we'd have a little more bounce in our step. It'd be better because we'd be braver leaders and we'd take on the scary challenges of everyday life. It'd be better because we'd be more enthusiastic with our work, and when we were faced with a hard challenge, we'd get it over with, and the rest of the day would go on smoothly. All that being said, I do think that one of the best things optimism can do is help us find hope in the darkest of times, and help us give that hope to other people when they need it the most. So maybe your day isn't going the way you want it, like your car broke down on the side of the road and you don't have an extra tire. Or maybe you can't find the patience to focus on anything. Or maybe you stub your toe 3 times on the same corner. Or maybe it's one of those days where you wake up and there's that little voice in the back of your head and it keeps saying, no matter how hard you try, today's not going to be a good day. Despite all your best efforts, it's all going to go wrong. But you get up anyway. You get up because all of you stinks, so you need to take a shower, brush your hair, brush your teeth, and eat breakfast. You get up for the fresh smell of morning air, or maybe you get up for hot or cold coffee, whatever you like. And you live through the day, and you make memories, and you have new experiences that you never would have made had you not woken up this morning. That's what optimism can do. It kicks down the door of negativity, and it's banging pots and pans and screaming at you to get up and stop being a lifeless lump of clay, because your bed's not going to get you anywhere except for back to sleep. I've always been an optimist, maybe too optimistic sometimes, but that means I can see the light in almost any situation. Like, if my sushi fell apart, then I didn't have to use chopsticks because they're way too overly complicated and I hate them. So I can just use a fork because using your hands at a restaurant isn't respectful. Optimism has gotten me through a lot of difficult times. Like last summer. Last summer, something unexpected happened. On June 6th, my dad passed away. He was the most optimistic person I've ever met. He taught me how to look up, even when there wasn't something to look up to yet. And when that light disappeared, I didn't know where to look for a while. And with something like that, you'd expect anything bad to happen, but I have one of the most positive families in the world. And I'm still here. I haven't lost my mind yet. And my family taught me that even though I'm going through something really hard right now, all the better things in life are going to be so much sweeter because I experienced this. And I think with that kind of optimism, we can heal the world really quickly. We can teach the people who don't have hope to keep going even when we're hit with the hardest of storms. Or we can teach them that even though we're hanging on the skin of our teeth to sanity, there's always going to be something better, no matter what. And optimism isn't going to take away the hard things in life, but I believe that it's going to make them more bearable. And we have to be the ones to teach people that. And I think with that kind of optimism, we can help the world be a better place. Thank you.
Okay, so give us a few minutes to let the judges get their scores from that last contestant. And then we'll have them exit to their judges' room. And then we'll have a little bit of free time. So at this point, I've mentioned some things throughout my presentations. And I've mentioned like the Junior Optimist Club and how to get a hold of me. Well, for you guys in the Walnut Street School District, it's very easy. Especially if you're at a school that's in Windsor itself. If you go to your school office and ask them to have their contact Officer Stanger at the high school, they know how to get a hold of the school resource officer at the high school. That's me. So I used to have a bunch of schools, but if you're interested in, they definitely know how to get a hold of me. Or if you have a school district email, it's andrew.stanger@wellready4.org. So if you have questions about that, let me know. And I'm so thankful that you guys are here. It makes me happy to see you guys get out of your comfort zone and give these speeches. Because at one time, when I was your age, I didn't do that. It took me becoming a cop 20-some years ago to learn how to talk in public and talk to strangers. Well, talk to strangers when you're not supposed to when you're a kid. So, Dr. Brown.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you. Thank you for all the speeches. Wonderful. It's going to be difficult for the judges, I can tell you that. So thank you for everyone who gave a great speech. Now, we're going to be probably about a 15-minute break, so you're welcome to go out into the fellowship hall. There are cookies and water. Please take advantage of the cookies and the water, and then you can wander back in here. Some of the group from the next group of contestants are starting to congregate as well. When you go into the fellowship hall, there are tables. So I think families kind of stay with your own table so we can social distance as well. So we'll see you back in about 15 minutes.
Rob, can you say the live stream will pause and resume in 15 minutes? The live stream will pause and resume in 15 minutes.
Live stream will pause and resume in 15 minutes.
go to Severance Middle School.
My name's Christiana Kelly, and I go to Severance Middle School.
My name is Joshua Abram, and I go to Severance Middle School.
My name is Rebecca Bingham, and I go to Windsor Middle School.
My name is PJ Weiser, and I go to Windsor Middle School.
My name is Jack Levitt, and I go to Windsor Charter Academy.
I'm Hannah Richardson, and I go to Windsor Charter Academy.
My name is Daisy Darrington, and I go to Windsor Middle School.
My name is Convey Sedagat, and I go to Renchi Elementary.
My name is Lily Darrington, and I go to Windsor Middle School.
Congratulations. So okay. You each are getting a certificate and your $20 coupon for Barnes & Noble. Did you give them the Barnes & Noble? Did you give them the Barnes & Noble certificates? The Barnes & Noble certificates. Did you give those? Here we go. So a $20 gift certificate to Barnes & Noble for everyone. So a couple teachers weren't here when we introduced you. Did Christina Sutter show? Is she here? Is Christina here? And how about Rhonda Hatton? Did Rhonda come in? There you are, Rhonda. Thank you.
Tell them to raise their hand when
So, okay. Have you gotten the photos, Tom? I'll get out. Okay, in this group of contestants, in third place, Speaker A, Olivia Galloway. In second place, Speaker D, Christina Kelly. And the winner this evening is Speaker C, Jeremiah Johnson. So congratulations to all of you. You are all excused. If first and second place, and even third place, if you'd like to be present for the final awards after the high school group, then you either can stay or come back. The rest of you are excused. If you want to stay, you can stay in the fellowship hall until we let the new group in, and then I'm sure we'll have room for you to come back. Thank you. By the way, students, one of the judges has suggestions for each of the speakers, and Susan, you were going to lay these out on a table. Go into the fellowship hall, the first table, and you can find for each of you a list of suggestions for your speech. Okay, high school group. We are ready to go. I just wanted to make some introductions for you that we made for the other group. Your teachers were very helpful. I don't know if Miss Sutton or if Janelle or Julie are here, either one. Julie Estrada. Is that Julie? Okay, I didn't recognize you. Julie and Janelle from what? Julie's not here. Okay, from the high school, Julie and Janelle, and from Severance and Sutton. So thank you for the teachers for helping with the kids in the recruiting process. As you know, we just finished the competition with the younger, yeah, right. I don't have to use this right now either, do I? Now you can hear me. The younger students were scored, and they will be in competition with you as well. So first, second, and third place will receive cash awards. First place, $75. Second place, $50. Third place, $25. And everybody will go home with a $20 gift certificate to Barnes & Noble. And we thank you for participating.
What time would you like the junior high and elementary school talking about?
I think 7:30, probably 7:40. Let's see, we have what, 6? Yeah, 7:45. Yeah. Okay. Now, remember the big awards that you will be competing for, as you know, are a $2,000 scholarship, a $1,500 scholarship, and a $1,000 scholarship. The first and second place overall winners will progress to a contest on April 10th, and I'll let you know that some more. April 10th will be a regional contest where you'll be competing with the two winners from other clubs. You will not have as many contestants. You may have 6 or so at that event. And then the top 3 from that regional area will compete at the district convention on April 24th. And that will be for the scholarships. Last year, some of you know that we did have a winner from Windsor, Anna Hirsch, who did win a $1,000 scholarship. So it's out there. Okay, that's the way the contest will go. Don't forget to announce the topic of your speech as your first sentence. There's a penalty point if you don't. There are penalty points if you go over or under 5 minutes, and if you accidentally identify yourself or a member of your family or your school or your town by name. Those are the main penalty areas. Let's see, and the first and second place winners, please, after the awards, I want you to remain here. I want to get some information from you so that we can process your application for the next competition. Okay. What did I need to say that I said the first time? Anything? Any questions about this evening? Cell phones. Make sure they're off. Right. And did you have some cookies, maybe? Some water? Yeah. Yes, you're allowed to take a picture of your own family. And of course, you don't need to be wearing a mask when you speak. You do not. You'll be using that microphone, and we'll set it up to the proper height for you, or help you out. Okay, I think we're ready to start. And Andrew Stanger, our president, our Optimist Club president, will be the MC for your evening. Andrew, come on up.
All right, good evening. Like Dr. Bradley said, I'm Andrew Stanger. I'm the president of the Windsor Optimist Club. For those that sat through the first group, it's going to be a little repetitive, and I apologize, but there's a lot of new faces in here that didn't get to hear what I said. So I've been an optimist here in town for about 15 years, and as we go through this, I'll tell you a little bit more about...
You're a little taller than Ross, if you don't mind. There you go. Right in there. There you go.
Is that better?
Yes, sir.
I usually don't like using microphones, so...
Andrew, I forgot to mention something. We're starting with the letter N.
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
We're starting with the letter N, but speaker number M already competed today. Some of you may know that we had a contestant who was quarantined because of a contact, and we were able to let her speak on Zoom. So she was already judged.
Okay, so as we go through this evening, I'll tell you a little bit more about Optimist International, our club, and things that we do. But to not waste any time, let's go ahead and start with Contestant N.
Is this good? Hello? Okay. Just leave this right here. Okay. How can you heal the world with optimism? How can I heal the world with optimism? Those are two very big questions. It's definitely not one that I can answer in just one sentence alone. To start, what is optimism? Well, according to Google, the definition of optimism is hopefulness and confidence about the future or successful outcome of something. In other words, to have hope and to hold on to that hope no matter what. And I know, I get it. It's kind of corny. Not only is it corny, we hear it all the time. Have you ever sat down and watched cartoons with your kid or younger sibling? There's always one character who's like, guys, if we just use the power to believe, then all our dreams will come true. And then they turn into like princesses or superheroes with these really bright and sparkling, kind of obnoxious cutscenes, like, psh, psh, yeah, like, if only it were that easy, right? But what if I told you it was? What if the power to believe was true? And it held meaning that could ultimately lead to the solution of fixing our world. Speaking of cartoon characters, when I first heard the topic for this year's speech, I was automatically reminded of someone, Uncle Iroh. Now, some of you already know who he is, but for those of you who don't, he is a tea-loving old man from a hit TV show called Avatar: The Last Airbender. And although Uncle Iroh is not a real person, I do believe that his wisdom and advice is something that we can all listen and learn from. A certain quote that he said once stuck out to me. Many things seem threatening in the dark, but become welcoming once we shine light on them. What does that mean, and what can we learn from it? Well, for starters, anything will seem scary and unfamiliar in the dark. It is only human nature to fear the unknown. However, it's not until we shine that light or we have a different approach to the situation that we think, oh, that's not so bad. Do you see where I'm going with this? I don't think I have to address the elephant in the room. Right now, the whole world is in the dark. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or even in the next hour. That is terrifying. However, that doesn't mean that we can't look for that light. To be optimistic is to give hope that tomorrow's going to be better, that one day We won't have to deal with catastrophic events like these and make speeches about them to try and fix them. Instead, optimism will light the way to the solution. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you all, I feel like a bit of a hypocrite right now. I'm standing here telling you all to have hope and optimism for tomorrow and how easy it is, just like the cartoon characters, when the truth is, it's totally not, especially for me. I am a person who has had the unfortunate experience of questioning whether I wanted to wake up tomorrow, to contemplate your own life and whether it is worth living is as horrible as it sounds. However, I have found that in that tragedy, there is light. I do believe that the key to life is hope and optimism, because without those, I wouldn't be standing here today. They saved me, and I believe they can save the world. Facing the uncertain can be scary, and even worse when you feel alone while doing so. So let's start by joining together and having a little hope. We might even be able to find a solution to the problems that we are facing today, and maybe even for the problems of tomorrow. So, how can you heal the world with optimism? How can I heal the world with optimism? Well, let's start by joining together and listening to the ones around us. This is not something that we can do alone, so join me, join us as we heal the world with optimism. Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about Optimist International. The Windsor Optimist Club is one of many clubs within Optimist International, which is a worldwide organization. A lot of clubs in Canada, a lot in the US. We're based out of St. Louis, Missouri. And I went to our 100th International Convention 2 years ago in Louisville, Kentucky, when it was 101 degrees and 99 humidity, and living in Colorado for almost 42 years, my whole entire life, that was a struggle to be optimistic, but I made through it. So, like I said, we have clubs all over in multiple countries, from Nepal down to the Caribbean, and I get to, I go to these international conventions. It's really nice to meet all these different people. I have friends all across the world. If I ever make it down to the Caribbean, I don't think I need to get a hotel, so maybe I should do that someday, especially after this weekend. So one other part of Optimist International that I'm trying to bring to the schools or the community here in Windsor is Junior Optimist International. It's the organization for students or people under the age of 18. We have our own Joy district. They're called Joy, so J-O-I. And they are at schools, like I said. They do projects to help their community, their school, whatever it might be. And I'm trying to bring that to our schools. If anybody in here is interested, of course, talk to your teachers that got you to do this. They know how to get a hold of me. At the end, I'll tell my contact information if you don't know who I am. So, with that being said, I will move on to Contestant O.
Healing the world with optimism. Wouldn't that be great? A completely healed world. No more fear, suffering, pollution, danger. This is the biggest dream and wish of many people in the world. But no matter how optimistic we are, we have to face the fact that the world will never be fully healed. I want you to think of the worst events that have happened in your life. We have all lived differently, so naturally, different things would come to each of our minds. I guarantee that many of you immediately thought of the pandemic that we are in right now. That's definitely what came to my mind first. COVID-19 and quarantine were hard times. Not being able to see people, the world being shut down for almost a year, and some of us have even lost loved ones. Events like this bring us down and crush us. This is how a pessimist would see COVID-19. I'm not gonna lie, all of us have gone to the pessimistic side of COVID. How could you not? It was awful in so many ways. But I really want you to try and look optimistically. Corona allowed us to experience events that many people have never experienced before. Have you ever heard anybody else say that their world got completely shut down and they got to do nothing for months on end? Not personally, but now we can all say that and believe it. Quarantine allowed us to advance our technology and systems that are now part of everyday life, like Google Meets for school and Zoom conferences for work. And it also allowed us to be closer without being close. To be honest, I'm very glad Corona happened. Yes, I missed out on 8th grade graduation, my first year of high school, moments in life that I will never experience again. But I was part of the first generation to participate in online school. I did experience moments that I can tell my grandchildren one day. And most important thing, it brought me closer to my family, especially my sister. My sister and I hadn't been getting along very well before quarantine happened. We were constantly arguing and mad at each other. We were both growing up, and I felt like I was losing her. Yes, we still have our ups and downs, who doesn't? My sister and I are together every day that we were not in school. We eat lunch together, talk to each other about the schoolwork we were doing, giggle about the funny face the teacher's screen froze on, and I feel like I have her back. Yes, quarantine has been awful in so many ways, but amazing in others. We will never experience things like these ever again. Hopefully not anyway. As much as I like staying home all day, I'd rather like to have normal life back. This is the new hope of many people, normal life. Going to the zoo, grocery shopping, full in-person school, and the best of all, no more masks. Hope keeps us moving forward. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the definition of hope is to want something to happen or to become true. In 2020, we have learned how important little things are and how important consistent hygiene is. Basic things like washing your hands, sanitizing surfaces, and not sneezing on other people in the store. Things we should have known and taken more seriously to begin with. 2021 gives us the chance to learn from our mistakes and hope for a better future. The future. Many people think about this constantly, and some even try to predict it. Do any of you remember the Back to the Future movies? The prediction for 2015 was flying cars, hoverboards, wacky clothes, and other crazy futuristic things. No one could have ever predicted that in 2020, the world will be shut down from a pandemic. Helen Rice, an author and poet, once said, "Most of the battles of life are won by looking beyond the clouds to the sun." This quote was ironically the last quote on the last page of a calendar my mom has in her office. This quote was on the last page my mom flipped to before lockdown was issued, March 13th. I really don't know how much more optimistic you could get. It's like this quote was written for that day and time. On my request, my mom hasn't changed the calendar since, because this is such a hopeful quote to me, and I don't want to forget it. This quote is truly a reminder to stay hopeful, and even though we may be facing battles, we need to be optimistic and hopeful that everything will be healed by looking beyond obstacles in life and onto the sun. Even though the world may never be fully healed, optimism is shown every day through hope. Whether it be in an inspirational quote, a shift in your attitude, or a deliberate action, I truly believe that these steps in life are slowly healing our world. Thank you.
So, one of our things about being a member of Optimist International is that we strive to bring out the best in our youth, our communities, and ourselves. And we do that through a lot of projects. I mean, Oratorical is one. But our local club, we also like to honor graduating seniors. We have the Outstanding Senior Scholarship that we award. We have the Marvin J. Harris Memorial Scholarship. And then we also do a Outstanding Senior Female Athlete Award. Now, for the students that might be from Windsor High School, you've probably noticed the Academic Achievement Hall of Fame that's installed as you leave the Innovation Center or the cafeteria going towards the auditorium. That wall, we had the opportunity and very thankful that the school allowed us to sponsor that wall and to honor those students that may get the Betcher Award, or maybe they got an appointment to a service academy or some of those other well-known scholarships. So those are some of the awards and ways we honor students, and I think the judges are ready, so we will move on to contestant P.
Thank you.
Healing the world through optimism is an impossible task. Bear with me. Optimism is a way of thinking. It is believing that there will always be positive outcomes. But the world is a very dark place. It is full of disease, suffering, and darkness. You can't just believe that things will go away in order to get rid of them, despite what Disney tells you. You cannot save the world through optimism unless you use optimism to take action and bring good into the world. Only then can the world start to heal. My idea of optimism is the act of focusing on the good and hoping for positive outcomes. Optimism is a mindset. To be optimistic is the first step towards changing the world, but it alone is not enough. I asked my peers what their definitions of optimism is. One of them said, "It is attempting to see positive traits in people, things, or scenarios." Another one said, "It is always looking for the best side in a situation or the best outcome." These are both very true, and they both express the idea that optimism is a mindset, or a way of thinking in which you turn your mind towards the good. So, if you can turn your mind towards the good, you can act in a way that will bring out the good and benefit the world. Churchill once said, "The pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, but the optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty." Again, this relates well to the idea that optimism is a way of thinking or seeing in which you turn your mind towards the good. But it is not enough to see the opportunities. You must seize them, just as it is not enough to think of a better world, but to work towards a better world. Thoughts only have an effect on the world when they are made into actions. If I put onto Facebook that I'm keeping you in my thoughts, or I'm sending positive vibes your way, that may help someone feel better, but it doesn't change their situation. The only way to change things is by taking action, and the only way to heal the world is to act upon optimism. Now, I've spoken a lot about acting upon optimism, but what does that mean? It means seeing the good in yourself and in others and finding a way to bring out that good. It means focusing on the good that's already in the world and finding a way to bring that out. It is figuring out what would make the world even better and working to achieve it. Being optimistic is the first step to changing this world. It is crucial to see the good and to see the possible good in order to change the world. But the second step is that you have to the second step is to use that optimism to act in a way that benefits the world. There is hope in the world, even if it's not clear to everyone. This hope is clear to the optimists because they are seeking the good and they are seeking hope. That is why they are so important. They are the positivity that we as a growing, changing society need. They are crucial to society because they know how to fix the brokenness in this world. Whether it is through little things like always staying positive, or giving good advice, or bigger things like spending your time in a homeless shelter or paying for someone's meal. The smallest actions can bring so much good to this world. This is why people must take action, because again, the world cannot be saved through optimism alone. It cannot be saved with happy thoughts or positive vibes, because they do nothing. In order to change the world, people must take action to make their optimistic views a reality. Optimists must unify their thoughts and their ideas with their actions. Because if we can focus on the good in the world and work to bring it out, if we can see the good that the world could be and work to attain that, then the future is already looking pretty bright. To be an optimist is to be fully alive. So let's start living by choosing the good.
All right, so I brought up that we strive to bring out the best in our communities. Some of those ways we do that are through different events and programs. One is our annual Easter egg hunt, which we had to cancel last year because of COVID. And this year we've modified it. Usually it's at Main Park where we put thousands of eggs out. It takes weeks and weeks to put that all together for 30 seconds for it to be over after the kids grab the eggs. Because we aren't able to use the park in that large of a capacity. This year we're doing, if you have younger siblings or cousins, if they go to our website, windsoroptimistclub.org, and go to our projects port and go to Easter egg hunt. All the information's there. We're doing a coloring contest to win basically almost life-size bunnies for younger kids, like 3 or 4 feet tall. So check that out, and you can turn in your submission to a box at the Clearview Library. Another thing that we do is we partner with the police department in the summer to do a safe family bike night where we provide helmets for kids that need helmets. And the police department sets up a cone course to help teach safe riding techniques and things like that. So hopefully we'll be able to do that in June, shortly after when school gets out. So if you ever want to know what's going on with our events, check out our website. And there's also a contact form if you want more information. With that being said, I think we're ready for Contestant Q.
Okay, so how can we heal the world with optimism? Helen Keller said, "Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without confidence." Lots of people have faith or have confidence in their faith that the world will get better instantly. I'm here to tell you that it just doesn't happen overnight or in a week. It's an ongoing process. And yes, that does mean that there will be times when the process, so to speak, will be stopped. And that's when we get to make the decision to hold on to everything that we have and look forward. Today I want you to know that optimism can be a good thing, and that is a true need if you really want to improve in your life. One of my biggest inspirations that truly represents optimism and healing the world is Michael Jackson. Throughout his entire life, he tried to get out to his fans to love everyone despite their differences. And he even wrote a song along with USA for Africa, "We Are the World," a commemoration for the children in countries such as Africa. My favorite line is, "We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving." It means that instead of looking at these different countries that need help and thinking that hoping someday someone will help someone out there, we need to put forth our efforts to make these things happen. And some ways that this can be done is starting charities for others, like these children who are in need. We are so blessed to have been given so much that sometimes we do forget how others are. We need to start looking at our children as our future and realizing that they have so much potential. They see that the world needs help, so why can't we? There have been times in my life where I've had to be optimistic. For example, back in March, when school just got shut down due to the pandemic, it was my 8th grade year. I honestly was very nervous on how I was going to deal doing school from home. At first, we were only out for a couple of weeks, including spring break, and we weren't given much work at all. But then the 4th week came around, and I got a notice from my teacher that school would be starting online soon, and that he would be my mentor teacher. That meant I could go to him if I needed anything, if I needed help on homework or if I needed help on different projects. And freshman year was coming around the corner, and we finally got to go back to school. Then again, there were so many regulations that we had to follow, like keeping 6 feet of distance or walking upstairs or having our mask on at all times. To have optimism, we first need to change our mindset. We have to focus on what is going well or what has gone well in the past. Practicing gratitude is honestly the only thing we should always be doing, no matter the circumstance. Look for the benefits in the situation. And most importantly, build yourself up, because everyone struggles at some point. Trust me, you're not the only one. As I was writing this speech, I looked up statistics for this, and it's scientifically proven that being optimistic can improve your health. In what ways? Optimism has a remarkable impact on physical health, and a greater outlook earlier in life can predict better health and lower rate of death during the follow-up periods of about 15 through 40 years. People who aren't optimistic tend to be more affected with depression, anxiety, and many others. As human beings, our greatness lies not so much in being able to remake the world, but rather being able to remake ourselves through optimism.
Okay, continue on to let you guys know about some of our other projects. We also partner at Halloween time with the Windsor Police Department. It's been something that's been going on for quite some time to do the Alternative Safe Halloween event. That's at the rec center. Police Department provides candy. We provide games so that the littler ones can have a safe place to go for Halloween. A big one for the year is at the end of the year is Santa's Toy Shop, where we put trees around town at different businesses, and community members can pick up a star, buy a toy for a child in need around the community. And of course, this year, this last holiday season, we had a lot more need because of the economy. We do a Highway 257 cleanup north of the lake, and we also present a Officer of the Year award at the police department. So with that, let's call up contestant R.
Sure, a little bit. Yep. Healing the world with optimism. But first, what is optimism? Well, I thought I knew until I went to Google, but the definitions there just didn't fit mine. They didn't fit me. And that's when it hit me. Optimism is different for everyone, because everyone faces different challenges and has different experiences. So, what is optimism? Well, I know what optimism is not. Optimism isn't saying you're happy or even being happy. Optimism is a mix of many emotions. You can be so angry yet so optimistic at the same time because you know one day life will be better. In the moment though, it can be really hard to look on the bright side and be hopeful and confident about the future. But that right there is my definition of optimism. To heal someone with optimism, though, is a whole other challenge, because to heal someone with optimism, you personally have to be optimistic. It's like teaching someone to ride a bike or read a book. If you don't have the skill and knowledge on how to already do it, you may not be the best teacher, and this applies to optimism as well. I'm sure we're all aware of what's going on in the world. I mean, we're living through a pandemic. Between the number of COVID cases, the people we've lost, and the opportunities we've missed out on, it's been really hard for a lot of people when it comes to being optimistic. For me, I missed out on a cruise ship with my family, hanging out with my friends, getting an official start to high school, and so much more. I mean, just the other day, I was in Florida, just a few miles from Disney World, but not at Disney World, and I'm not happy about it. But it's not about being happy. It's about looking on the bright side. For me, the bright side isn't too hard to find. My aunt came down this summer and decided to quarantine with us. I've seen her more in the past year than I have in so many other years combined. I've gotten to spend more time with my grandparents than I would have if I were in school all day, almost every day. And I'm so much more grateful for the time I got to spend with my cousins over the summer. I mean, that's what I call some social interaction. And as far as being in Florida but not at Disney World, well, I probably wouldn't have gotten to go to Florida in the first place if it weren't for coronavirus. My grandparents bought a house down there, and, well, we realized, why would we stay at home when we could take our school calls from literally anywhere? And I'd rather keep the people around me healthy and safe rather than risking it all for just one roller coaster ride. Because after all, it feels like we've been living on a roller coaster ride for the past year. If you've ever been in a group of people and someone around you is really sad or down, it can really bring the rest of the group down, because it can be really hard to be positive when someone around you is so negative. I would say that I have failed my fair share of tests in school, and in the moment, it can be just devastating, because all you can think about is how you're not good enough, you didn't study hard enough, or you didn't pay enough attention in class. But by being optimistic, we can remember that it's just one test, it's not our final grade, and well, hopefully there's going to be test retakes. When we have this optimism, we help not just ourselves, but also the people around us, because we can show them the joy and happiness that optimism brings with it, and we can heal them with our optimism. A person that's recently helped me and healed me with optimism was my aunt over the summer. Having things to look forward to when you're quarantined all day, every day, with the same people can be really hard, and not exactly what we were hoping for in 2020. She took us out on dates every single Friday. They were simple things, just as going out to get lunch, getting a treat, going on a walk, or going geocaching. But it didn't matter, because we were together and we were having fun. Some other things we did I'm never going to forget are doing reverse tie-dye, going on what felt like a billion walks to get a video game, pizza and movie night, and starting a cookie business. These are things I wouldn't have gotten to do otherwise, and I'm so grateful for the opportunities. She showed me that even in some of the saddest times and the difficult times, that there were still things to look forward to and things to be happy about. She healed me with optimism. When I think of a person who has healed people with optimism, Martin Luther King Jr. comes to my mind. He's the person who had a dream. A dream isn't a reality, it's a hope. It's being optimistic. He may have not seen the outcome he made on the world, but by spreading his one light with anyone who would listen, he healed the world with optimism. Because after all, 2 lights is brighter than 1. When we're healing someone with optimism, we have to remember that everyone's different and everyone needs different things. For some people, they need an example. For others, they need you to pick them up and carry them and show them that the world isn't all that bad. Thank you.
So some of you might be wondering, how do we accomplish all of our projects that cost money, not just time? Well, we have one fundraising thing that we do every year, and it's our annual duck race. And I joked with the other crew that before you ask me, they're not real ducks. I don't think my neighbors would appreciate if I had a bunch of ducks in my backyard. They're little rubber duckies. They all are numbered. So we sell adoptions for $10 for each duck. We take those ducks and we dump them into the number 2 ditch. Everybody know where the number 2 ditch is here in town, right behind the rec center? I won't make the number 1 ditch joke. Okay. I still haven't found where the number 1 ditch is, so, but I know where number 2 is. So on the day of that event, we dump them in at 17th in the canal. They make their way down to 11th Street, and then we fish them out with fishing nets, and the first place duck gets $500, second place $300, third place $100. So if you would like to help support our projects and our mission, please look forward to seeing us outside of grocery stores or maybe hardware store this summer, and buy a duck. Otherwise, I'll tell you after the next speaker some other ways to contact at least me. So are we ready for the judges? All right, so our next contestant is S. Do you want this?
Yeah. Positive feelings. Do you think you can heal the world with optimism? The short answer is yes. I do believe that we can heal the world with optimism. In a quote by Steve Jobs, he said, "The ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do." Some people consider me crazy, but I believe that every person has impact on the world. You decide if you will be positive or negative. According to Learn a Dictionary, optimism is a feeling or belief that good things will happen in the future. Being positive is the great things that mankind can do to heal our world. I had the opportunity to learn about homelessness while doing a literature class last semester. And I discovered that many homeless people had lost hope. I also learned that human need to have a goal and must to be optimistic to achieve that goal. In my opinion, optimism means sure and confidence about the future or the system of outcome of some things. Walter McMahon said, "Don't hope in life without problems. There is not such of things. Instead, hope for a life filled with good problems." Healing the world with optimism is in good problems. My plan has 3 parts. Each part moves the world toward being healed. First, let's focus about the good things. Just accept the positive things in life. We must wake up and keep positive things in our head. Michelle Obama said, "Every day you have a power to choose a better history by opening your heart and your mind, by speaking up what you know it is right. It is right to think positively." The second part of my plan is to teach children about the positive self-talk. And the reason I choose children, because they are the future. The change will take time, but we will have more optimistic future. In the words of Greg Yeager, a famous French TV reality star, "I'm the winner. I'm the winner." People must start to see themselves incapable of winning, so they can move forward with their positive self-talk. The third and the final part of my plan is for others to surround with themselves and positive people. I'm inspired by the words of Queen Latifah, who say, "Look at people for example, then make sure to do your things your way." Surround yourself with positive people. It is essential to focus on building people up, but you will need to building yourself up too. In conclusion, we must focus on being positive to start healing the world. The famous rapper Eminem said, "You can't do anything you set your mind to. Let positivity become the new norm for people. Let it spread like wildfire across all culture, language, and religion. Let's focus on developing the skill of children so they can help us to heal the world.
Okay. So I'm talk a little bit here while I think the judges are going to finish judging the last student, and then they'll move to their judges' chambers and calculate the results. You know, one thing I didn't bring up with the last group, and it's one of the most important things for us as optimists, is this banner right in front of me, the Optimist Creed. And that's what we try to live our lives with. I know it's kind of hard, but this is something we recite at our meetings or any large events. And since I didn't mention it at meetings, currently we're on Zoom. We meet Thursday mornings at 7:30. But hopefully soon we will be back to in-person. And this year we're going to start meeting at the rec center at 7 in the morning. We would love for people to join us. We used to be at the Egg and I until it was sold. They took out the meeting room, and it was just not conducive for having a meeting. So this is what we've come up with, so we would welcome you. Now, one thing I didn't want to bring up, and people always ask me, how did I become an optimist 15 years ago? Well, if you notice, a lot of our projects, we partner with the Windsor Police Department. So, 18 years ago, when I was hired by the Windsor Police Department, I started being tasked to help out with some of these projects and work in the community. And through those projects, I met a lot of great optimists, and they invited me to breakfast. Then I went to breakfast. After a few months, them checking in on me, I finally started going more regularly. I became a member. It took me some time. I've been president a couple times. I've been lieutenant governor, and I'm actually international field advisor. It's a really fancy name for when a club wants to start anywhere in the world, I will go and sign their paper. I have yet to do it, so, because I don't know if I could handle the plane ride to Nepal or somewhere else. I don't know if you see, I don't fit in seats very well. So that's how I became an optimist. Now, earlier I'd mentioned, like when I was talking about junior optimists and the students, if you want questions. Of course, for you Windsor High School students, I hope you know where to find me in my SRO office. So if you have questions, but for those students at other schools, go to your school office and ask them to call Officer Stanger over at the high school, and I will get a hold of you. For your parents, if you have questions about what we do, go to our website, send us an email, and we'll get back to you. So with that, I see the judges have left. So down in the fellowship hall, I'm guessing there's still cookies. I don't know if you need to use the bathroom. And I'm guessing we'll be back maybe around 15 minutes or 20, and we'll announce the winners of this and then the overall. So thank you. Oh, thank you for being here, students. Thank you for getting out of your comfort zones to get up and talk. I know when I was growing up, it was not my thing, and if any of you from Windsor High were freshmen, like a sophomore when I first started, I guess that would be the juniors. When I got up to speak to you guys that first time to give you the wizard, whatever we call it, boot camp, boy, it did not go, I was very shaky. So I still say a lot of ums. But thank you for being here. I apologize for you guys online. We're going to go ahead and pause the stream, and then we'll come back when
And line up from NOPQRS, the way you spoke. Okay, Tom, did we get photos? And Susan, where are you? You can, yeah, hand those out.
Oh, yeah. Can you guys take your mask off? Oh, good point. I know you're not 6 feet apart, but...
Okay, great. So, let's see. Does someone have the medals? Oh, you're down there. Okay, great. And the certificates? Okay. Yes, so go ahead and give us your name and your school, please.
My name's Valerie, and I go to Windsor High School.
I'm Ellie Sedaga. I also go to Windsor High School. I'm Rose Threewitt. I go to Chesterton Academy of John Paul II.
I'm Natalia Mendez. I go to Windsor High School.
I'm Taylor Mathis. I go to Inspire 4 Online.
I'm Dandelion Lakely. I'm going to Windsor High School.
And the missing letter M, who competed online today, was Mariah Crownover from Severance High School. So you can see how long it takes to make a decision here. There are a lot of points scored. There are 100 points possible for every contestant. And you can imagine when everybody has 95, 96, 97, it's difficult to make a judgment. So everybody did well, but we did have to have some winners. So we will, do you have the awards? Yep. So in third place tonight, receiving $25, is Rose Threewitt. In second place, winning $50, is Valerie Sevilla. Valerie Sevilla. And the overall winner of our contest is Ellie Sedagat. In the third place overall is Jeremiah Johnson. So, Jeremiah, you will be an alternate for this next contest. So stick around for just a minute so I can talk to you about it. So if either our first or second place person is unable to compete at the next level, which will be Saturday, April 10th, then please let me know as soon as you know that. And we can let Jeremiah participate. So again, thank you very much for your presence and competition, and it's nice seeing you all. And I hope that everybody had an educational and just an experience that's helpful. That's what it's all about, really, in the end. So again, thank you, and that'll conclude the evening.